and welcome to the Going Green and Going Smart program. My name is Edgar Olivo, and I am so glad you are joining us today. We're going to have a great conversation about how sustainability practices are good for your business. If this is your first time tuning in, I'd like to give you a special welcome. You could have picked any other live stream to watch, but you chose ours, and we thank you for that. Our mission is to help small businesses across the state of Arizona save energy, save money, and attract business with resources and training we created for you at no cost in the Going Green and Going Smart program. We know sustainability has reached a tipping point, and it is important to your customers and the planet we live in. We hope to provide you with the right skills and tools to help you achieve your Going Green goals. Today's live session will be about sustainability concepts that will help you make a positive impact to your triple bottom line: people, profit, planet. So to start, I'd like to ask you, what does sustainability mean to you? While you think about that, stick around for the full program to learn directly from sustainability experts who will share their knowledge and resources to help guide you to success. You will hear from panelists with expertise in sustainability and learn from our special presenter who will share with us the importance of social responsibility. You don't want to miss that. At the end of the session, I will take a moment to answer your questions and share more details about how our Going Green and Going Smart program can help you and your team transform your small business. Are you ready to get started? I know I am. Let's kick off our live session with a little preview of what you're going to learn today. As I mentioned earlier, sustainability has reached a tipping point, and it is important for every small business owner, especially your consumer. Recent research data has shown that 6 in 10 consumers are willing to change their shopping habits to reduce environmental impact. 7 in 10 consumers would pay a premium of 35% on average for brands that are sustainable and environmentally responsible. 8 in 10 consumers think sustainability is important for them. So why does sustainability matter? Why is it important? Well, according to the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, sustainability is based on a simple principle. Everything that we need for our survival and well-being depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. To pursue sustainability is to create and maintain the conditions under which humans and nature can exist in productive harmony to support present and future generations. Sounds extremely important to me. We will hear more about sustainability concepts in our panel. Another concept that is important to share with you is the triple bottom line impact, otherwise known as the 3 pillars of sustainability, which are people. Everyone who is involved in making your business successful: owners, workers, vendors, suppliers, and community. Profit, the financial performance of your business. Planet, the natural resources and environment your business relies on to succeed. As you think about these concepts, reflect on how your small business can make a positive impact on your triple bottom line by going green. As you think about these concepts, reflect on how your small business can make a positive impact on your triple bottom line by going green. We'll explore further tips on our panel. Now that you have a deeper understanding of today's topic, it's time to meet our panelists. Make sure you grab your notes. We're going to have a great conversation. Okay, let's meet our first panelist. So to get started, we have a great team of panelists who are going to be sharing with you some wonderful information. And today, I'd like to first start off by introducing Tony Majors. Tony Majors is a member of the outreach team and trade ally advisors with the APS Solutions for Business program. Mr. Majors works with APS utility customers and contractors offering energy efficiency solutions to help educate and promote energy efficiency opportunities. Focusing on improving energy management and the rebate process, Mr. Majors interacts with many industry verticals such as government, healthcare, hospitality, and education. Welcome, Tony, to our call. Our next guest is Michael Denby. Michael Denby is the Senior Sustainability Policy Advisor at Arizona Public Service. He has worked at APS for 6 years and is an environmental attorney by training. For the last 30 years, he has been immersed in the environmental field at some level. He started his environmental career in college, founding the first recycling program at Emory University in the late 1980s. He then did asbestos and water consulting before getting a law degree and practicing environmental law. Throughout his law career, he has worked in big and small firms, mostly representing corporate clients. He also spent several years working for the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality as Deputy Administrative Counsel, and even spent a year doing property acquisition work for the Nature Conservancy. He thrives in an environment that encourages creative thinking. When he came to APS in 2014, he led environmental policy work driven in large part by the Clean Power Plan. In 2020, when APS stood up its newly sustainability group, he was invited to join the team to help guide its focus on defining and implementing ESG projects, as well as defining the overall goal of what sustainability means to APS. Welcome, Michael, to our live session. Our next guest is Trevor Swanson. He is the program manager for the APS Solutions for Business program. Trevor was in the U.S. Navy for 20 years, working as an electrician and nuclear propulsion plant supervisor on submarines. Trevor spent 14 years in healthcare facilities management before joining APS. As the program manager, Trevor ensures that APS fulfills its promise to be a trusted energy advisor and provide the support customers need to achieve their energy goals. Trevor holds a bachelor's degree in nuclear engineering technology from Thomas Edison State College and an MBA from the University of Phoenix. Trevor has held the title of Certified Energy Manager from the Association of Energy Engineers since 2006. Welcome, Trevor, to our call. And next, we have Mari Miller. She is the supply chain consultant for Arizona Public Service, where she focuses on building strategic and operational excellence through project execution. At APS, Mariko is developing a supply chain sustainability program to increase supply chain resilience and transparency. Additionally, she established the APS Supply Chain Sustainability Council in 2019 to identify and solve for sustainability opportunities within the company's supply chain. Previously, Mariko worked at Boeing's Boeing Defense, Space, and Security, where she was responsible for the supplier management with Boeing's largest suppliers, supporting multiple aircraft and defense programs. Mariko is also passionate about the arts community in Arizona and serves as a board director of the CALA Alliance, Celebración Artística de las Américas, a multidisciplinary Latinx organization that collaborates with artists and other arts organizations to connect Arizona, Mexico, and Latin America. Mariko's passion in supply chain and multi-industry experience lends a purposeful, intentional perspective on various supply chain sustainability topics. We have quite an amazing group joining us today, and I hope you are grabbing your notes and getting ready for this wonderful conversation. Welcome to the Going Green and Going Smart program, guys. How's everybody doing?
I'm doing fantastic today.
Doing
awesome.
well.
Awesome. It's great to have you on. All right. We have a lot to talk about today. What was that, Trevor?
It's great to be here. Thank you for the invitation and opportunity.
I'm glad you're here. All right, so we've got a lot of information that I'd like for us to cover and share to our audience. I know that a lot of you have already been thinking about how to support small businesses, especially during this time. Earlier in the segment, I was sharing that sustainability has reached a tipping point. And so to build on that conversation, I want to ask each one of you a very simple question to start off our conversation. And that is, what does sustainability mean to you? And I'm just going to go around the room and start with Trevor. Trevor, what does sustainability mean to you?
To me, sustainability is a thought process where you're creating something that'll be long lasting, that will provide for continuous results and continuous improvement. And that involves environmental issues, being able to keep businesses operating and thriving. It's a focus on what those impacts could be. And specifically in my role, it's, we're looking at carbon reductions and how to reduce those via energy efficiency improvements.
Awesome. Thank you. And Tony, what does sustainability mean to you?
For me, it's a little bit more simplified of an answer. Again, it's just working to protect and preserve our resources for future generations to come. It's not going to be just one person being able to do this. It takes all of us to work towards a common goal, and again, so that we have those resources available for our future.
Fabulous. And Michael, welcome to the show. Tell us what does sustainability mean to you?
Thank you, Edgar. Happy to be here. So to me, sustainability is more about mindset. It's a journey of sorts. A little bit of what Trevor alluded to there. Mindset is the foundation for the sustainability pyramid, if you will, the framework for everything you do. For example, if you recycle a plastic water bottle, that's a good thing for the planet, but it's really not sustainable, right? Because the sustainable mindset asks the fundamental questions. It asks why you're using a plastic water bottle in the first place. It may also ask, just because it's empty, doesn't mean it needs to be recycled right now. Well, maybe you could clean it and reuse it again. So these sort of threads you can pull on, they they keep going and going. You can keep going down that route that asks, you know, do I have a reusable water bottle? Why didn't I bring one to the meeting? Why do I have a plastic water bottle in my hand? So it's the mindset that you're thinking about. Most people don't even think twice about having that plastic water bottle, and they often feel good about throwing it in the recycle bin, right? I recycled that plastic. But that only makes you part of the problem. And now that water bottle is somebody else's problem, right? So until you change the mindset, you're never going to be moving forwards towards sustainability.
Yeah, it's definitely a mindset to think about. And Mariko, same question. Welcome. What does sustainability mean to you?
Yeah, so echoing everybody else's kind of response, it's definitely a mindset. For me, sustainability calls 3 key words. It's awareness, collaboration, resiliency. Awareness of the actions that you take and the impact that it makes to your business, to the environment, to your community. Collaborating together to find these opportunities and see if there is a efficient solution to solve for that. And then with those actions, building a resilient business, helping to build the resilient planet, a resilient supply chain. So those are kind of the 3 key words that come to mind for me when I think of sustainability.
Yeah, really important stuff. I like that we're connecting it to how we need to be thinking about our approach with all of our resources around us. So let's jump over to our next question. And I think this is another really wonderful question to ask our group here. Why is sustainability important for small businesses? I'll start again with you, Trevor. Tell us, why is sustainability important for small businesses? You work with a lot of small businesses trying to transform their practices and go green. Tell us a little bit about what you know.
Well, small businesses, well, they are the heartbeat of America, right? Then small businesses work, the owners work very hard and spend lots of hours trying to keep their business afloat, and especially in these times now. So if there's ways that you can conserve your resources, conserve energy, conserve what you're spending and your cost of doing business, not only will that help with the environment and be good for your local community, but it also is important to your bottom line. They can work hand in hand to help keep that business moving through some very difficult times. I like what Michael said about mindset. It's that mindset of how do you continuously improve, and that's what small businesses are doing. They're evolving to improve their operations all the time.
Yeah, you mentioned conserving resources, conserving. The Going Green, Going Smart program does touch on a lot about how to help you save money and save energy. And I know through some of the work that you do, Trevor, that's part of the focus. And Tony, share with us as well. You work with the trade allies, and how is sustainability? Why is it important for small businesses?
Sure. So again, I typically when we think of small businesses, again, they are a little bit more limited with their resources and ability compared to some of our larger corporate friends. With the limited resources and budgets, typically by incorporating sustainability or energy efficiency, which is a contributor to sustainability, this can really help them improve their bottom line, as Trevor mentioned. If we can find ways for them to save energy, save money, that's going to affect their bottom line. But even more importantly, we're seeing a lot more, this is allowing them to attract new customers too. Again, customers that are sustainability focused or looking for sustainable resources. Again, as they promote that or make those changes, they're able to attract new customers and increase business.
Yes, and I definitely want to expand on that because this is a business opportunity as well. So I'm glad that you touched on that. That's a wonderful point, Tony. Thank you. Michael, tell us, why is sustainability important for small business? You have a legal background in this area. I'm sure you have an interesting perspective there too.
So yeah, I think that I think it's a great panel, and there's a great diversity in terms of our thinking on this panel and what we do on a day-to-day basis with APS, which is phenomenal. Hopefully, it helps the viewers here. To me, sustainability is important for small businesses because it keeps them agile, responsive, and resilient to expected and unexpected changes. Sustainability requires what's called a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is paramount to owning and running a small business these days, at least in our opinion. A growth mindset sees challenges as opportunities, and it sees success of others as inspiration and lessons for their own success. And so it isn't just about putting energy efficient light bulbs in, although that's a great piece to getting yourself greener. Something you probably should have been doing already, but it's a great place to start if you haven't. But it's about building a resilient and adaptable small business by applying sustainable thinking and actions, as some of the panelists are talking about here today.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, agility is definitely one of those key traits that make businesses successful. I'm glad that you touched on that. Mariko, tell us, it sounds like you've got some great experience too, having experience with Mexico and Latin America, and now bringing all that knowledge here in Arizona. Why is sustainability important for small businesses from your perspective?
So touching a lot of what Tony had already covered, it's our customers are increasingly looking to align themselves with a business that they believe in, and a lot of that is being sustainably conscious. From a supply chain perspective, we as customers are as strong as our supply chain. So for us to say that we are confident in the sustainability within our supply chain, it means that all of the suppliers, all the businesses that we partner with are sustainable and supporting that message. So it's all those components within that APS supply chain in this example that align with the APS values and help strengthen that supply chain. And, in addition to competitive edge, sorry.
Right, exactly. I was just going to touch on that the supply chain is also an opportunity for small businesses to look at to go green, right? What are some of the things that small businesses could do to kind of start looking for a greener supply chain? Just to add to this question, Mariko.
So it's just simply as looking at who are you working with? What are your partners, the supplier partners? If you are building an end product or service, what are their sustainable practices? Where are your materials coming from? What is the impact to the community? Are you working with your supplier partners to volunteer and support that community? If you're taking trees from the environment, is there something that you're doing to help replant those trees? So there's, just having those simple conversations with your customers, with your supplier partners, whomever, and collaborating to determine what is the best approach. But yeah, a simple conversation, I think is a great, easy way to start.
Yeah, it sounds like we're all talking about something that I touched on at the start of the segment, which was the importance of finding what the triple bottom line is, the three pillars of sustainability: people, profit, planet. Looking at these three areas holistically to see where can you implement some greener strategies. And supply chain is definitely one of those areas that we can make some improvements. That's a wonderful, great segue. All right, so let's look at our next question to keep the conversation going. And outside of business, sustainability has a role in our communities. And Trevor, based off your experience, what do you think? How does sustainability impact our communities?
Well, I think, and I've saw this in healthcare, sustainability is a way for you to actually connect with your community. That by running a sustainable business, I think consumers are aware of what you're doing, and if you make them aware, I think they're drawn to you. Like you said, adding to the profit. But at the same time, they see when you're doing good things within your community, and that builds trust and brand recognition for a small business, and it also creates a positive connection between you and your local community. So by doing that, it kind of had that snowball effect where you do good, it gives you more business and allows you to do more good. And so, and that's what sustainability is supposed to be, right? That forward thinking, continuous improvement, doing more good as you have the ability to. So I think it really help a small business.
Yeah, it's not a linear concept, right? It's a circular concept. Tony, let's build on what Trevor just mentioned. How does sustainability impact our communities?
Sure. And again, I will talk more regarding the energy efficiency portion of sustainability, but I want to go back to my original, again, about working to protect and preserve our natural resources. And, energy efficiency definitely contributes to a lot of savings in water and CO2 reduction. So again, as we here in Arizona know, two of our main resources, or most important natural resources we have, are water and air. So again, by implementing energy efficiency, reducing energy use, that's going to contribute to being able to save water and air and improve our air quality for the communities.
Yeah, we all need to breathe. We all need to drink water. We all need to use these resources to live. That's a wonderful point. Michael, how does sustainability impact our communities from your perspective?
So I'll take a little bit different approach here, Edgar, and I'll come at it from a sort of a social factor side of it. The environmental is enormously important. but so is the social side. So sustainability is more than just, people look at sustainability oftentimes and think of it only as environmental, putting in a CFL or an LED. It isn't, it includes that. It very much includes that, but that's not where it ends. There's a lot of major social factors, and 2020 gave us a big bright light on a lot of these social factors. The Black Lives Movement, the Open for Business movement, the COVID awareness, supporting our troops, supporting our first responders. More and more businesses are using and being absorbed by these social movements. A great example from years ago, Tom's Shoes, I think it was an early example. They gave away a pair of shoes for every shoe that you bought, or pair of shoes you bought, right? And it was an infectious business model. People loved it because they were giving back. And it sort of goes to that Simon Sinek quote of, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that brings the community aspect into it. Most business leaders don't follow these social issues because they're trendy, because trends all end in a dead end, right? They embrace these trends because these issues support their communities. And if they're supporting their communities, the communities support them. And I think it's very symbiotic. So it's a very important part to see that sustainability goes beyond just one action. It's sort of, as you were talking about, Edgar, it's cyclical. So you put it into the community, and the community will bring back to you.
Right. And it's actually a wonderful introduction to our special presenter, who's going to be elaborating on social responsibility. So I'm glad that we touched on that, because it's definitely a topic that I think is very important, and we will dive deeper right after our panel. Mariko, tell us, how does sustainability impact our communities?
So coming from a supply chain perspective, a colleague and good friend of mine, Nick McDonald, who also works at APS, made this profound statement that I really think about every time I tackle some type of, sustainability related initiative. But being in supply chain, it's this wonderful opportunity to really reach all around the world. We're sitting here in Arizona, we're buying something from Europe that gets processed in Asia, that gets sent to Canada, and then final assembly ends up here in Arizona. We install it, we use it, it's wonderful. But then, despite the wonderfulness of what technology enables us to be able to have that outreach within our supply chain, at the end of life of that product or service, it's hitting our landfills if we don't have a good, recycling or reusing opportunity for that product. So while we're sourcing from all over the world, it's still going to be put into a landfill here, or emissions associated with that product or service is being emitted into, the area here. So for me, that's how, from a supply chain perspective, that definitely impacts our community.
Yeah, the life cycle of our products. Yeah, definitely. Wonderful conversation about that. And I know we'll dig deeper in our social responsibility conversation right after our panel. I've got another question to ask you. The question is, what are some common misconceptions about going green? What are some of the myths that are rolling around out there? I know we're in a time in our history where there's a lot more conspiracies out there, and maybe some of the old ones got elaborated. But outside of that, what are some misconceptions that you have found, and how do you help your small business client overcome them? Let's start with Trevor.
Well, to me, I think the most common misconception is that it's just too expensive. It's too difficult, that it'll have a negative impact on my bottom line and on my business if I try to act in a more sustainable behavior. And that's just not true. Being sustainable will reduce your operating costs, could reduce your waste that you're having to pay to dispose of as well, and attract more business. So I think that would be the biggest one that I see.
Yeah. Tony, what do you think are some common misconceptions?
And honestly, again, with my interactions with businesses and our contractors, I'm going to kind of join on Trevor's bandwagon and say cost is a major misconception. I think a lot of times business owners consider again what their available funds are right now and the immediate cost of implementing a project, but they aren't able to really consider the long-term effects. A lot of projects, the return on investment can be a short amount of time, and then you're continuing to capture savings beyond that break-even point. So again, as the time progresses, I can tell you, I worked with a local car dealer group, And one of the things that they're not the highest volume car dealer group, but the thing that makes them different and sets them apart from a profitability standpoint is the investments they've made in sustainability or energy efficiency over the years that really affects their bottom line. So again, they're not required to sell as many cars to be profitable because of their lower overhead.
Yeah, yeah. There's a great video that's part of our Going Green and Going Smart certificate program, and I think Trevor, you helped create this video. The cost of doing nothing, right? There is a cost of doing nothing, and it's higher than doing something, right?
Absolutely, and eye-opening when you think about the impact of just failing to make a decision. When you don't make a choice, you're actually still making a choice, and I think people don't realize that.
Yeah, interesting. Michael, what are some common misconceptions that you've encountered?
So I love these the input here. I think this is very on point. I would echo a lot of what they're saying. And I would say the other piece that I would add is that it's a trend, and this is just the most recent trend, and this is going to fade away, and we'll be back to 1950s brick and mortar businesses any day now, which is not true.
No, not going to happen.
This is a movement, and it's not. Things are just changing, and it is what it is. And that it takes too much effort to engage. And I think a lot of people that back away from the engagement of it do so because they feel overwhelmed. Honestly, yeah. I think that they feel overwhelmed by the choices. They look at it and they're like, I don't get it. What do I do? And they don't realize that sustainability isn't a one thing. It's not that you suddenly become sustainable and that's it and you're done. And it's a giant lift to get there. Sustainability is pieces, and you got to start small, and you start doing something. And when you start doing something, you can build on that and become more and more sustainable. But even the most sustainable companies in the world don't consider themselves, they're not in nirvana. They're not there. They're continuously improving, as you mentioned earlier. So the misconception is you got to do it all. Like you don't. Even one little piece is still good.
Yeah, well, it's the compound effect, right? Small, smart steps will ultimately pile up and build up and get you closer and closer to your goal. That's one of the main philosophies that we're teaching in the Going Green, Going Smart certificate program, is that doing small actionable steps is still doing something, that it will compound over time as long as you commit to it. And I worry that there might have been a situation over time as this trend or movement. Now it's a movement, and there's plenty of research that shows that it's here to stay, and it's only getting stronger, especially as consumers are expressing their need and concern for environment. That when we think about how we go about implementing Going Green strategies, that the overwhelming feeling could be also a condition of infobesity. Have you heard of the term infobesity? Too much information. That taking, that infobesity, that overwhelming amount of information can also paralyze a person. And here in this program, our goal and our mission is to make it as simple as possible for you to get started and take actions. So I love that you touched on that.
There's actually, can I add one more piece to that?
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
There's a phenomenal study that I came across a while back, and it was about choices. And they found that if you gave people the choice, I believe it was jams. The study was done on jams. If you gave the people choices of like 15 jams, they basically bought nothing. But if you gave them a choice of 4 jams, I think it was, they ended up buying like 50% more than they would have. So more choice doesn't, what happens is the human brain apparently shuts down. When there are too many choices, it just says no choice, and you result back to that. But if you give them just the right amount of choices, they will take them.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating science, and I'm glad that we have all of you here to help us simplify this concept. All right, Mariko, tell us, what are some common misconceptions that you've encountered?
Well, real quickly to Michael's point, when you started talking about that, I thought you were talking about music jams, not jelly jams. I was like, yeah, if I was afforded 20 songs to pick, yeah, I'm not sure which one I would pick, but never mind.
Yeah, don't make me the DJ of any party either. I'll play the same song over and over. Come on, Mariko.
Yeah, exactly. But all seriousness, with as far as misconceptions, obviously cost is a huge one for sure. But I think another one is, typically as a customer, we want to buy something specific. I want this red pen built in this specific manner. the specs, here are the requirements, and then the supplier will take it and build it to spec. But I think that there is an opportunity and a common misconception of having that conversation with your customer and saying, I get you want this red pen that does exactly what this is, but tell me what you actually want it to do, because did you know that the requirements that you flow down to me, it might not be a sustainable option. You're probably asking for a piece of material that is, there's another alternative that would be a little bit more of a sustainable option. Or because you added this little thingamajig, it requires this extra processing that really isn't necessary. So can we have this conversation? Explain to me what you need. And the customer, we are giving the contractor, we are buying something from the business owner because they are the expert in whatever product or service that they're providing. So we only know what we know. We don't know if there's a better alternate way for us to receive that product or service that we're buying. So I think just having a conversation and, hey, did you know, would be a common misconception, instead of just taking it at face value of whatever the customer is asking.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me of another topic within the Going Green and Going Smart certificate program. In one of the modules, we talk about how to build a green marketing plan to attract more businesses. And in there, ethical marketing around your sustainability practices is something that's really important. And there's a term that I talk about, which is called greenwashing, right? How do we get away and how do we look through greenwashing? And can you tell us what greenwashing is, especially since you're in the supply chain area?
So I think greenwashing is just kind of, what would be the best way to explain it? It's using those green terms, but not actually taking into consideration or acting upon the principles of sustainability and what it is to be green. And you see a lot of, a lot of businesses online that has these green logos, and they might be buying carbon credits or something like that, but they're not really truly supporting the sustainability, mindset, that growth mindset that everybody on the panel has touched on, and protecting the environment, protecting the community, et cetera.
Yeah. So thanks for explaining that. Yeah, definitely. We want to make sure that we are following some guidelines to be able to ensure that we're meeting some of those sustainability goals. All right, let's move on to our next question, because we have a lot more to cover. And the question is, what are some easy and practical solutions for those of us, for those are the small businesses that are watching today? What can you share with them, Trevor? What are some easy and practical solutions?
Well, I think the audience is taking the right first step right here, right now. In order to have a solution, you have to have knowledge. And so by doing research and by attending seminars, informations like this, by getting that knowledge, then what you pour in, you'll push out. So as you're bringing in the knowledge that you have, it'll create an awareness for you, so that you'll actually change that thought process you have. So you start thinking about, do I have my air conditioner set for when my business is actually in operation? And, am I turning the lights off when I leave for the day? Do I have too much light on during the day? Just what can I do as I'm going through my daily routine that can be more sustainable? I like Michael's example of the bottle. If you throw it away, have you really, in a recycling bin, have you really done the best you can? And asking those questions. And I think that's really that solution, is being able to stay aware of what your daily interactions and daily actions and operations do, and how they could be changed to be more sustainable.
Yeah, wonderful advice. Tony, what could you share? Some easy and practical solutions.
Well, and again, you can tell Trevor and I work together quite a bit, because a lot of our answers will mirror. Good. Again, I was actually thinking the same thing. The sustainability, it's a journey, and again, this is a great first step to just engage in the conversation. But again, I feel like the next step is again, continuing opportunities to educate yourself on things that you could do or implement. And honestly, a lot of those things can be no cost or very low cost things. Really, this is the first step in building a plan or a roadmap on that journey, to be able to make that happen and make those the correct decisions that will help move you forward. So again, I think this is a great start for folks, and I think you just take the little steps and can continue to build from that. And as Trevor mentioned, there's a lot of things that as you become more aware of opportunities, the things that you can implement that may not even cost anything. It's just a matter of being able to recognize those things and make those changes to take effect.
Right, right. Michael, what are some easy and practical solutions you can share?
Absolutely. I think that Trevor and Tony hit on some really good points there. I will circle back around to mindset. I think that again, you bring back mindset. Think about each action you take as an opportunity to change. So when you're just doing your day-to-day business, whether it's buying product or supplies, or whether it's engaging with customers, you got to think about what that means in the long run and how you can work through it and potentially make the process better or more efficient. It comes back to the old adage that if you buy ivory, you're perpetuating poaching. Like, really, is that really what you want? Think about what you're doing, because your actions have a footprint. Every action you take when you order plastic cups, there's a footprint to where that plastic cup came from. And so think about it. And it doesn't mean you need to change and not use plastic cups right now. That's a big step for a lot of people. But if you're thinking about it, that means your mindset is open to it. And the last thing I'd say is sort of a precautionary piece, which it goes back to the greenwashing piece that Mariko talked about. Greenwashing is a big problem these days. And there's going to be more and more backlash from it. Social media has the ability to catch up with you in a flash, in an instance. And if people call you out for greenwashing, you claim that you're buying credits when you really aren't. Claim that you're doing something green when you really aren't doing it that green, or whatever it is you're doing isn't really as green as you think it is. Like, oh no, I did something that was green. Like, actually, it actually resulted in greater emissions or a greater waste product than you did. Yeah. Just because you call it green doesn't mean it is green. And when social media catches you on that, your trust with the community is going to be very, very tarnished.
Yeah, great advice, Mariko. What are some easy and practical solutions you can share with us?
So, I think kind of echoing what Trevor and Tony had mentioned, simple things in your daily business activities. Perhaps develop a policy for your employees on expectations to shut down your computers at night, turn off your lights, those types of things. Considering, and it may not be easy, but from a practical perspective, when you're developing your products or services, considering that end of life impact, is there something that we could do to support the end of life? Is there a reusing or recycle option that we can provide our customers when that product is done? Another thing would be considering, to Michael's point on choices, there's so many different opportunities, but really considering what is your biggest impact. So, the number of miles that you're driving to deliver your product, the material choices that you have, who you're working with, just kind of considering those and just being intentional about the choices that you make to support the end product or service. And then, there's other things where, especially if you want to set expectations with your suppliers that you work with, something as simple as writing something into your contract of making sure there is some type of sustainable consideration or environmental consideration if they're, for whatever product or service that you're procuring to support yours. So, there's like a couple of little things like that, but being very, very intentional about the decisions that you make in support of your business.
That's wonderful. Great advice. I could have this conversation all day long, but we have a couple more questions for our panel. And what does sustainability success look like? I know, I think that might be a question that is very subjective, but at the end of the day, some of the goals are pretty common. Trevor, what does sustainability success look like?
Yeah, I agree with what you said about goals, but I actually see sustainability success as a way a team operates. I like to compare it to the school bus adage. The important thing is you got to get on the school bus when it stops, right? But you also got to be in your seat. But not only do you have to be in your seat, you have to be facing in the right direction. And so when you can get everybody from your team on the bus, sitting where they're supposed to be, doing their role, facing the right direction, and supporting the goal of a sustainable business, that's that to me is what success and sustainability looks like. I don't think it's as much a measurable of, well, you're going to have outcomes from your measurables, but I think having a full team that's engaged in sustainability, that's what, to me, what a successful program is.
It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us. Tony, share with us, what does sustainability success look like?
Sure, and I'm going to go the opposite direction of Trevor on this one for once. Again, I want to speak. Primarily, I work with energy efficiency, and again, that's a contributor to sustainability. I'm fortunate to be able to work with a lot of APS customers. Also support our trade ally contractor network, and I can actually, again, based on some examples of successes of stories, kind of put some numbers to things. One of the success stories, worked with a local retail location that did an LED lighting upgrade. The immediate effect for them was obviously they were eligible for rebates, received some dollars back to help offset the initial cost of that. But what I mentioned earlier, it's not just about the initial, it's that lifetime or the cumulative savings. So just by implementing that program, or that project, it saved them over 135,000 kilowatt hours of savings through the estimated life of that material. So again, that's kind of a long term. And again, the reason I like to point this one out is because partnering with our program and our contractor, again, is taking that one step. So the goal is hopefully they take this one project and possibly be able to fund or build towards that next project and accumulate those savings.
Yeah, replicate the success. Michael, what does sustainability success look like?
So I'll give you an example from several years back, sort of the watershed moment, I guess you'd call it. So, watermark, watershed moment in my mind for a lot of sustainability practices, and that was Walmart's coming around to the concept. So originally considered by many to be sort of the antithesis of sustainability, Walmart found that by requiring suppliers to reduce the amount of packaging on their products, that it actually reduced the amount of fuel consumption on the trucks, the Walmart trucks carrying those packages to and from the stores. It reduced shelf space, and it reduced emissions from the trucks that are driving, created more shelf space for the company, created more value for the company, and more profits at the end of the day. But it had this cycle, it had this circular loop to it that because of their action, it ended up it created this chain of reaction of value that was everybody. And so the suppliers didn't have to buy as much packaging at the end of the day. And so it's this feedback loop. And so I thought it was a really good example of how sustainability works, even if you're, theoretically at that time, this is 10 years ago, one of the most financially aggressive companies in the world. And they found that they can make an impact sustainability wise. Like that was an amazing step.
That is amazing. It's very bold actions. And I think bold actions require us to be able to achieve that success. Mariko, tell me, or tell our audience, what does sustainability success look like?
So I think sustainability success is kind of mimicking the overarching theme that we've been hearing in this panel today, which is continuous improvement, education. And I think that for a business, once they get that taste of, oh gosh, constantly looking for opportunities, constantly looking for ways to improve upon themselves, to me, that thirst to constantly improve would be sort of a sustainability success. Because to Michael's point, it just starts this chain reaction that I think starts to become beneficial to more than just that business owner.
Yeah, we get everybody on the bus faster, huh, Trevor? Yeah, thank you. That's a great responses. Now, and we're getting close to the end of our panel, but a couple more questions. What additional resources are available? Everyone here works in one form or another, helping a small business or helping the community. Trevor, what resources are available that you are aware of?
Well, we actually, our program on APS.com under Business Solutions actually has some fact sheets and some educational materials that are broken down by various technologies or various business types. So they have lots of very good practical knowledge of how you can work to improve your business's energy efficiency and sustainability. So easy resource for you to find. It prints off on one page. So it's something and that you can share, as a very, that's a pretty good resource we have available.
Yeah, great, great. Tony, what resources are available for a small business?
Sure. And again, to build off of Trevor, again, we have educational series as well, webinar training series. So you have the opportunity to, learn more about specific opportunities within your own business. And then also a resource near to my heart I like to promote is our team, the Solutions for Business team. We're here to help answer questions regarding especially energy efficiency opportunities, and possibly help you, again, with the rebate process if it's an eligible item. So as I mentioned, our people are a great resource to be able to help out.
Awesome. Wonderful. Michael.
So we don't have resources as such in the sustainability group, but we are certainly available as a resource. But I would point small businesses to small business associations, places like the Greater Phoenix Economic Council, the GPEC. There's lots of sustainability trade groups out there. And there's just a lot of learning you can do online about sustainability. But I would encourage anybody who is interested in sustainability and not sure what it means to their bottom line to reach out to APS, reach out to the people on this webinar, and myself included, and we will gladly hook you up with what we can find and what we know about. It is a growing market, so to speak, for sustainability. So it's very much in flux, and so there's lots of new resources coming online all the time.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Mariko, what resources are available?
So from a supply chain perspective, we do have a supplier diversity program here at APS. And so we do have the Diverse Supplier Training Program, or DSTEP as it's fondly called. And that, they select a few folks within the community and try to help grow and strengthen their business plan and help them be successful. And so you can go to the APS website under Doing Business with APS and find some more information. I believe that they are currently trying to make that available virtually to sort of expand that reach. And so that's something that potential business owners would like to participate in if they want some more focus on developing and strengthening their business. In addition to Michael's point, there's so much information online if you don't know where to start. The Environmental Protection Agency has a lot of really good resources on just things to consider. And then, I just recently stumbled upon an article, but the NYU Stern Center of Sustainable Business had developed a tool and methodology called the Return on Sustainability Index that helps you link sustainability initiatives to your financial performance. So, kind of going back to what Trevor had mentioned earlier in the panel discussion about the cost of doing nothing versus the cost of doing something. That might be something helpful as well. And then there's also a free tool through Energy Star, the portfolio manager, where if you do have facilities or major appliances within those facilities, you can put some of that information in there and try to determine if there's any opportunities for energy efficiency, for example. So
awesome.
I'm sorry. I just have to say that was a great point on portfolio manager. I used to manage 67 buildings that I had benchmarked in that, and it was a great tool for me to use to identify.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have those online tools. It sounds like all of you have gone maybe through the Going Green, Going Smart certificate program, because a lot of those resources, we've consolidated them and put them on our website on greenbizaz.com. So they're easy to find, and you'll have access to the downloads. You'll have access to the links, and also the Energy Star appliance calculator. So you'll be able to find some of that in there so you can calculate how much energy you're using. And now to close out our panel segment, what a wonderful conversation. I really appreciate everyone's remarks. The last question I'd like to ask everybody is, what final advice can you share our small business owners? Let's start with Trevor. Trevor, what advice can you share?
Mine is stay focused. Don't get discouraged. There's opportunities and resources available to help you. Use your resources. When you have questions, ask. There are no There are no bad questions, no dumb questions, because we're all on this journey together. So seek out those that can help you on your journey, and stay encouraged and know that you can be successful in doing this.
All right, Tony, share with us. What final piece of advice could you share?
Sure. Why wait? Start now. Yep. Again, this is a great first step. But again, take inventory of your business. Start developing your own sustainability plan. Develop that roadmap of how you would like to proceed. We talk about proper planning now can save you for years to come. And a great byproduct of that is, again, your help protecting our valuable natural resources. The more you incorporate sustainability or energy efficiency, it's going to affect all of those resources and be available for everyone.
Right. And we do have a sustainability plan template in our Going Green and Going Smart certificate program. So I love that everybody's just sharing all the wonderful concepts that are in there to help you go green. And Michael, what final advice can you share with our small businesses?
Absolutely. So I think the biggest piece I would ask you to do is to remember that the core of sustainability is resilience. A sustainable company is resilient to expected and unexpected changes, right? Learning to apply sustainability elements to your company can give you an advantage and make your business more resilient to change. It's a quick story. BlackRock, one of the largest money managers in the world, I think it has something like $8 trillion in assets, has put sustainability front and center as a major element of its investing strategy. Now, they're not investing in small businesses, right? But everybody business is connected to each other, right? The investment grade businesses are relying upon the small guys as well. BlackRock doesn't do it because it's trendy, right? BlackRock does it because these are fundamental questions of how you address things like climate change and COVID, and understanding how you address those and the known risk and unknown risk to your business is important. In other words, if you're not addressing those things, what else are you not thinking ahead for? And if you're not thinking ahead for those things, what are you not doing? So sustainability is essential to your business model and essential to helping you see your potential vulnerabilities and correct them before they negatively impact your business.
Yeah, let's make it a centerpiece in our business. I like that. And Mariko, what is some final advice that you'd like to share?
I think doing what Tony had mentioned is you're started, you're part of this program. Obviously, you know that this is a wonderful opportunity. So continue educating yourself and continue that mindset. And anybody who works with me is probably annoyed, but the two words I always say is communicate and collaborate. So communicate with your employees, your supplier partners, your customers, the community you interact with, and try to find those opportunities, what you can do better, and then collaborate with those folks too on those solutions, because you don't have to, it's not up to you. There's plenty of resources right next to you with the employees or the customers that you work with that would be able to support you. So communication and collaboration are to me, the key for sustainability success.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you to all of our panelists for this great discussion. We hope to have you back again soon. Thank you so much. I hope you were taking notes at home or work or wherever you're at. If not, don't worry. You can find this recorded segment on our website at greenbizaz.com. Now, let's switch gears and discuss a different subject that will stretch our minds about sustainability and how social responsibility plays a role in going green. Okay, let's meet our special presenter. Our special presenter today is Charlene Saltz. Charlene is the manager of ESG reporting and data analytics in the Sustainability Organization of Arizona Public Service. Her role at APS is to lead the sustainability team in informing and engaging employees, stakeholders, and customers about the actions APS is taking to accomplish their mission of providing a sustainable energy future for Arizona. In her more than 20 years of work in sustainability, Charlene has implemented and marketed energy efficiency programs, developed customer tools for self-service initiatives, and lead workshops for teachers integrating urban ecology studies into their classrooms, in addition to being a classroom and outdoor educator. It is a great pleasure to introduce Charlene Saltz. Let's learn a little bit more about her story.
The garden is a place to just come and dig in the earth. I love being outside, I love nature, and I have it in my backyard. I mean, it's amazing to put a tiny little seed that you can hardly see. It's like a speck of dust, and that becomes lettuce. And you're like, how did that happen? I'm a sustainability consultant, and so my job is to report on how APS is being a sustainable company to both our investors, to our employees, and to our customers. We've been here 130 years. We hope to be here another 130 years. We want to do the right thing. I feel super lucky to be able to work at a company that is in line with my own values. I'm taking my passion at home for sustainability and I'm applying it at work. There's no greater joy than looking at your plate and seeing what you've grown in the backyard. And so I love that farm to table concept, and I love that we can do it here in our backyard.
Thank you, Edgar. What a great panel. I'm excited to follow that panel and go a little bit deeper into the social element of sustainability today and build on, it was touched on a little bit in the panel, so I'm going to build on that today and hopefully enlighten your knowledge and thoughts around what is social responsibility. But as Edgar said, I'm the manager of ESG reporting and data analytics at APS. And what's really interesting to me is when I meet people and they ask me, where do you work? And I say APS, and then they say, well, what do you work in? And I say sustainability. And then their next question is, well, does that mean you work on solar? Well, it's one element of it. Certainly, looking at our solar portfolio and trying to reach our very aggressive clean energy commitment for zero carbon by 2050. Yeah, solar is a part of it, but sustainability at APS and what I do is much bigger than just the environmental impact of our work. So I have two parts to my job. One is I report on what we're doing as a company to be a sustainable company. As Mike mentioned in the panel discussion, APS is reliant upon investors. And investors these days are looking for companies that are sustainable and they take sustainability seriously. So one of my jobs is to help tell our sustainability story. So I do a lot on reporting our accomplishments and data and sharing that in public places. So investors as well as our customers have access to our ESG information. And a big part of that is being transparent and sharing that information. And then the second part of what I do also is help drive sustainability within our business. So APS is an easy place to do that, as the vision for our company is to create a sustainable energy future for Arizona. And as a company, we are committed to doing what is right for the people and prosperity of the state. So incorporating sustainability with that kind of vision makes it a lot easier for my job and for everyone that works at APS. As it was said on the panel, growth mindset and taking small steps is important to having a clear vision for what you want for your business, for yourself, and your family. And so 2020, what a year. It's been a year unlike any other, right? So between the politics that have gone on, COVID, it's been a year with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd. It's really shaken up people's values, right? Their day-to-day decisions look a lot different than they ever have before. It's brought into question some of your own personal values. And I know even for some families, it's had some really difficult discussions to talk about what their social values are. It's happened also not only in our families and our personal lives, but also with businesses. We've seen a lot of businesses that maybe people stopped supporting because they no longer aligned with their social values or the actions they were taking. And in addition, sustainability has the three pillars. We've got environmental, social, and governance, or as Edgar said, also planet, people, and performance. But the people part, the social part, is what's really taken the front seat these days. It used to be when investors came to talk to us, they would ask us about what we're doing in the carbon space, what we're doing for environmental impact. And these days, they're asking a lot more about what we're doing in the social space. They're asking about our diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, not just what certain percent of people we have in each of these categories, but what are we doing to make our business more inclusive? What are we doing to support one another in these spaces? And what are we doing to support our communities? And this is all part of social responsibility, which I'm going to dive into a little bit deeper here. So you probably can't read all the words on that slide, and that's okay. Although it's a little bit bigger now, thanks, Edgar. But I think really what I was trying to point out here on this slide is that social responsibility can really mean a lot of different things. There's a lot of aspects to it, right? You can see creating shared value, ethical responsibility, financial, societal, and environmental benefits, the intersection of business and social and company assets. It's a broad topic, and there are a lot of different interpretations of it. I think you even saw it on the panel and talking about what is sustainability, and then you break it down to the social side, and then it becomes even more complex and on how people want to define that. But I want to point out a couple themes and really break it down to the simple steps, right? So really the simple theme throughout this is doing good in the world and leaving it a little bit better than the way you found it. Ultimately, you decide what that means to you. A couple things that resonated to me in these definitions is developing a shared value with your customers. You have values, right? You know what is important to you and what drives your decision making. And those are what you can share with your customers. Can your customers share your values? And if they aren't aligned with your values, is that okay? No right or wrong answer there, just asking the question. So developing a set of shared values, focusing on good intentions and actions. It's simply just being good to your people, being good to the environment, being a good citizen, right? What does that mean to you, and what does that look like, and how is that portrayed through your business? Another important aspect, which we talked about in the panel too, about the misconception that this is expensive. I'm going to tell you that you can be socially responsible and profitable at the same time. You just need to figure out what are the steps you want to take to be socially responsible, and what does that look like? A lot of times too, if you're taking steps to be socially responsible, you will gain customer base because customers are going to align and know what your values are. I know I often make my buying decisions based upon sharing a value with that small business owner. In addition, social responsibility is not only important to your customers, but also your employees. Think about your employees and places you've worked. Are you going to stay with a company if that company doesn't align with your values? Probably not. Typically, companies that have a really strong value system and opportunities for their employees to get engaged in the community, they're going to have employees that stay longer and are more dedicated to their company. They share, once again, going back to that shared value, they share values with the owners and the integrity of the company. So these are some of the threads that I pulled for myself that I think are important. But as I said, you really have to define what being socially responsible means to you and what that looks like. So the previous slide, right, had a lot of words, but ultimately it comes down to what are the actions you're going to take as a small business. So in putting together this presentation, I was trying to really focus on small businesses in Arizona and what they are doing. Because yeah, there's corporations and they do a lot of good things in the social responsibility space, but sometimes that can feel unattainable to a smaller business, right? Because where's the profit? What does that look like? So I put a post on Facebook, right? And went to the social minds and asked friends for ideas. And I think some of the ideas were really interesting. One was an interior designer, and he pointed out he donates his time and services to charities. So that's his way of giving back to the community, is donating of time, as well as, auctions. And it's always hard to find really good items for auctions. And he uses his business and his contacts to really help in that auction space for nonprofits that he aligns with. The other interesting, response I got back was COVID. Never before had I really thought about the COVID response as a social responsibility there. And I can see, right, people are concerned about COVID, but also, isn't it also the law? So where's the line there between following the law in your business, as well as people's understanding of where they feel safe? And I think there's that difference between following the law and making your business feel safe and knowing what's happening, right? I feel safer when I go into a business and I see potentially the masks are already on versus putting them on really quick before I get in there because, oh, you're going to get in trouble. So there's different ways to think about it, but I think it's people's perception, right? And people's perception of where they feel safe going during COVID and where they don't feel safe going during COVID became a social responsibility of businesses. The other one that I got was pretty typical, was thinking about restaurants and that they source their food from local farms, butcher shops, and other local suppliers. So as Mariko talked about, it's all about the supply chain and where they're getting their goods from that they're selling to you in their business. But I wanted to break it down and try to give a couple of very concrete examples, because that was high level, right, that I got from the hive mind of social media. One is Strawberry Hedgehog. They're my local soap shop. And she is it's a women-owned business, and she is very clear on her goal of providing a vegan, all-natural beauty product for her customers. And there is no hiding the fact that she values and supports animal rights. She additionally makes sure that she's giving money back to animal rights organizations. So not only is her supply chain vegan, but then she gives back. She is transparent about the values on her website, and you can see I pulled a snippet from her community impact report, and where she gave $2,000 to various organizations through her business. Now, $2,000, when you talk about an APS contribution and a small business, it doesn't matter the amount, right? The amount, it does not matter. It's the fact that she is taking actionable steps to put money back behind where she believes is important. And this is a shared value she shares with her customers and herself. So I think for you as a small business, are you giving back in the community? That could be one way you could show social responsibility. What values do you have of your own that you want to share with your business, and how can your business contribute? And my question too there is, are you sharing it on your website or not? Are you sharing it on social media? Not good or bad, but just does that fit in with your brand? How do you incorporate that when you're trying to build a social responsibility story for your company? Another one, and I before I go on to the other one about fair trade, the one thing I was thinking about too, as Edgar was talking about small actionable steps, right? Go small, start small with how you want to contribute. And maybe it is that giving back. I was talking to my mom about sustainable companies and social responsibility. And she's like, well, it's Safeway. They always ask, do you want to contribute to X charity? And I always give back. It's an easy way for me to give back to the community. So maybe that's a model you choose to use, right? Is using donations at checkout and giving money back to community organizations. Another one that I thought was an interesting story from a small business in Arizona is the Fair Trade Cafe. So just by their name alone, you know that they're using socially and environmentally friendly products, because all their ingredients are sustainably sourced. As I said, that's very evident in their name. The owner has gotten lots of accolades for recycling and composting. I remember when you could actually go into businesses several years ago, before composting was a thing. Fair Trade was one of the first businesses where I saw composting available. So she has a very strong presence about what she's doing to be environmentally responsible. And then I thought what was interesting was that I read about that she is a strong proponent of supporting fair wages and ban the box legislation. So she puts her advocacy into practice by paying a living wage and creating job opportunities for women leaving the prison system. Now, what I thought was interesting, I spent some time on the website seeing if that was one of her marketing sales points, and it's not on her website. I didn't see it in her social media, but she's still practicing something that's very important to her, that feels like a social responsibility in her mind. So that's just another opportunity to think about your hiring practices, your wages. Are people going to support your business if they find out you're not paying equitable wages? I don't know if that, just posing a question there and starting to think about what does equity look like in your hiring practices? And lastly, another example for a much larger business than both Strawberry Hedgehog and Fairtrade is Goodman's Furniture. Goodman's Furniture has a really strong sustainable business practice. They've been rooted in Arizona for a long time. They built the very first green showroom in 2005 because one of their core values of their business was connectedness. So going back to having very clear values for your business that might potentially share those values with your customers and your community. And in that part of their Goodman's business is they have a program called Rooted in Good. So they started a 501c3 that they leverage resources and talents from their employees to give back to the community. And so they've developed this 501c3 to make it accessible for the employees to give back. So one of the things that they do is repurpose furniture. So they match nonprofits with used and refurbished furniture. So that way, furniture that is no longer needed or business goes out of business, or they move, or they want updated furniture all the time. Where does all that business furniture go? Actually, if you've ever needed to go look for business furniture, I remember shopping when I was setting up my home office. I mean, there are warehouses just filled with old business furniture. So I think it's awesome that Goodman's has a program where they repurpose their furniture, so you can give your used furniture back to them. They will either refurbish it or just clean it up and match nonprofits with their furniture needs. And then part of that too is Rooted in Good. They have all kinds of just different employee-led volunteer events. So I think what's unique about that is that it's driven by their employees. So they give their employees an opportunity to have a voice in what does social good look like for the company. So hopefully that inspired you, got you thinking a little bit about what you do within your business, whether it's your supply chain, your hiring practices, your donations, your events. How can you think about them to share your social values with your customers? So I'm going to leave you, as you can see, I like to just ask hard questions. And I think this goes back to what Mike Denby said in the presentation, that sustainability is all about growth mindset. And it's continuously asking yourself the hard questions. So, but they don't always have to be hard, right? Start with the simple. I think it's there's so much out there. And how do you even begin? Which practice do you choose? Do you have to do all of it? Where on earth do you start? And I say, keep it simple. Start with the simple steps. And these are some of the things you can think about and think of them through a simple mindset. What comes to your mind first? What is your shared value with your customer? What is the story you want to tell? And how will you measure it? And then how will you share it with your customers? Those hopefully get you thinking about, how is your business socially responsible? How can you share it with your customers? How can you use this to help your business with your profit line as well as your social responsibility? The two do not have to be separate. The two should be integrated into one component together. Ultimately, ask yourself, it's all about leaving the world a bit better than the way you found it, one small step at a time. And remember, that's defined by you. You think about what it really means. What will you feel good about at the end of the day? How you've contributed to making the world a little bit better than the way you found it. Thank you.
What a wonderful, wonderful presentation. One small step at a time. Thank you, Charlene, for sharing this wonderful knowledge. I think social responsibility is definitely something that every small business can start to think about. And the questions that you posed, they are challenging, but the times require us to act bold and to start thinking about this and make it a centerpiece in our business model. What final piece of advice would you like to share our small business owners who are watching here today on how to implement social responsibility in their practices?
Yeah, Edgar, because I like to think simply, right? So I go back to that simple thing. But I think as a small business, think about where you shop, right? Think about where you put your money, what goes into your decision making, and how does that apply for your own business? I think that's a big piece, is really getting at that that value, our value system. And as I said, our value system got shaken up a little in 2020, right? People had to ask some tough questions. And so going back to that, thinking through, what is your values, and are they shared by the places where you shop? And then using those thoughts to then think about your business and how you put those into place. And I also want people to really think about, that's why I want to go back to the simple, right? It's not all about putting lots of money, right? Mike mentioned Toms, right? And they give one shoe for every shoe they sell. That might not be possible as a small business, right? Those shoe sales are really important to you, and you can't give up one shoe sale, right? Even to your neighbor Bob who wants a shoe. Yep. But you can think about, can I give a certain percent of each shoe sale? Or on certain weekends, I give a certain percent, right? And think about how you can do it in a small way that doesn't impact your bottom line, but is a beginning step, right? It's all about that beginning step.
Yeah. Excellent, excellent information. Charlene, thank you so much for your time. We hope to have you back again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edgar. It's a joy to be here today.
And for you at work or at home watching us, I hope you enjoyed our program today. We are excited and honored to play a role in helping our small business community go greener and cleaner for a brighter future in Arizona. If you want to take what you learned here to the next level, I invite you to check out our website, greenbizaz.com, to learn how you can earn your Going Green and Going Smart certificate. Our on-demand training can be completed in less than 60 minutes, and you can learn at your own pace. You will learn how to build a sustainability plan, conduct your own energy audit, create a green marketing plan to help you attract business, and connect with fellow small business owners in our online community. This program is designed to help you find ways to implement affordable strategies for energy efficiency, discover smart energy devices, conserve water, reduce your waste, and connect to a community of resources. Check it out and earn your Going Green and Going Smart certificate program at no cost by visiting greenbizaz.com. When you go there, make sure to check out the APS Solutions for Business rebate programs, which will help you pay for this awesome investment that will have many returns for many years to come. You can find our live program schedule on our website as well. Make sure you visit greenbizaz.com to get all the details. Also, follow us online and join the conversation on social media. Follow at APSFYI and use the hashtag GreenBizAZ for updates and more. Thank you once again for watching our Going Green and Going Smart live session on how sustainability practices are good for business. We hope you found this program valuable, and I look forward to hanging out with you on the next session. My name is Edgar Olivo, your program facilitator, and I'll see you next time.